From homeless Negro to millionaire, how Elon Musk and Donald Trump inspire success. Leonard Harrington stood at the center of his glittering charity gala in New York City, the room buzzing like a hive of champagne bubbles and whispered deals. The chandeliers threw diamonds of light across his tailored suit, but none of that shimmer prepared him for what came next. A small voice pierced through the chatter, a shout from his son, little David, louder than the classical orchestra swelling behind them. "He's my brother." The words smashed into Leonard like a fist in the gut. Everyone turned. Eyes widened. Silence fell. The air thickened with shock. Leonard's heart pounded so hard it felt like it would rip right out of his chest. Out of the shadows, near the velvet ropes, stood Mariah. Her coat was worn, eyes tired and lined with years of struggle, but fixed firmly on the scene, unraveling before her. She was invisible to most, blending seamlessly with the dim corners of the room. Mariah's quiet presencia was the fragile thread that threatened to unravel the entire Harrington empire. Leonard couldn't move. The jeweled smiles around him faded into a blur. The world he'd built, power, money, respect, cracked wide open. Was this boy a secret he buried? An echo of his own dark past? Or worse, a puzzle piece that did not fit his veneer? Whispers floated like cold gas. Is that true? Who is she? What does this mean for the Harrington legacy? The guests recoiled, scandal blossoming in their minds like wildfire. Leonard's fingers trembled. That familiar lump tightened in his throat. His empire was built on foundations, now shaken by long hidden shadows. And the half-glimpsed facts were worse. The rumors about his own father. Slippery deals to keep wealth flowing, enough to stain the family name. Leonard had spent years burying those truths, but here they were, clawing their way back. Mariah's eyes stayed locked on David, her voice steady but full of pain. "He's my son!" The words whispered, yet they hit like thunder. What price would she pay to claim the child stolen from her? And what price would Leonard pay to defend all he had? The tension stretched tight, like a wire ready to snap. Who could navigate this chaos? Was this the end of Leonard's world of privilege? Or the start of a reckoning long overdue? And then a new, darker revelation began to flicker at the edge of everything. Something about David's birth that no one had known. Something that could change everything. The night held its breath. What was the truth hiding in the shadows of that loud, shattered moment? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The night held its breath. Leonard's heart rece, lleno de miedo a Mariah's palabras, recos en el silencio. El room te tira en caos, suena como si fuese silencio. Un mur muy abajo se convirtieron en el caos. Y ese momento grito se semanó. Las puertas que de nieve es cristalinas cállate para los retados. Gaspos flotaron de la cuenta. Stop! The figure shouted, voice heavy and commanding. It was Derek, Leonard's estranged brother, the man he hadn't seen in years. Derek had always been the black sheep, shunned for his reckless choices and wild lifestyle. But tonight, he was back, and he carried a secret. Derek? Leonard choked, a mixture of surprise and dread washing over him. What are you doing here? I'm here for David, he stated firmly, eyes blazing as he stepped deeper into the room. And you, Leonard, need to hear the truth. The tension thickened, buzzing like a live wire. Mariah's expression stiffened. She clutched the edge of her coat. Leonard fought against the tightening in his chest. What do you know? You think you're untouchable, don't you? Derek sneered, a wicked smile twisting on his lips. This isn't just about you. It's about all of us, and what happened on that night. He pointed a finger, his voice dropping to a harsh whisper. The night David was born. His words sent a ripple of confusion through the crowd. A jigsaw puzzle dropped, pieces scattering everywhere. Whispers skittered around the room like leaves caught in a windstorm. Who was he with? What did he mean? Enough with this, Leonard barked, his face pale. But Derek pushed on, his anger boiling over. They took me away too, Leonard. I know what they did to Mom, to David, to us. Derek's voice cracked, raw pain surfacing from deep within. Leonard's heart sank. Memories rushed back. Their mother's addiction, the chaos of their childhood, the day everything fell apart. But why now? Why here? Mariah's eyes widened, a flash of recognition sparking within the depths of her pain. You know? She whispered, her voice shaking. For years, I've searched for answers. Derek's breath came in heavy waves, each word a weight. I had to find David, to save him from the Harrington legacy that'll only destroy him. Panic flared in Leonard's chest. The walls of his world closed in. Was it possible? Another layer of darkness under the surface of his polished life? He could feel the air leave his lungs as he processed the weight of Derek's claim. Then, from out of nowhere, David, his little son, broke free from Mariah's side. Unsteady on his feet, he stepped forward, innocence glowing in his eyes. Who is he, Daddy? He asked, voice pure and genuine, cutting through the tension like a knife. David, stay back, Leonard shouted, terror-stricken. Mariah stepped protectively between them, facing Derek, who now sported a strange, pained expression that made Leonard's skin crawl. And then, from within Derek's coat, he pulled something out. Shiny, glimmering in the soft light. An envelope, stamped with their family crest. Leonard's heart sank. As Derek began to unfold it, whispers cascaded around the room, and every eye was glued to the spectacle unfolding. Everything you think you know, Leonard. Everything. It's in here. He held it like a ticking time bomb, ready to detonate the whole night. And Leonard, he stood frozen, trembling, the weight of 1,000 questions bearing down on him. What had he been hiding? What more awaited him in the shadows? The gala held its breath once more, waiting for the explosion that would shift everything. And Leonard was right in the center, terrified of what the truth could mean. The night held its breath. The air thickened, heavy with tension and unspoken words. Leonard's mind raced. What truth lay beneath the surface? Did Mariah's revelation hide deeper secrets? Then, the glass shattering, sharp and sudden. Voices screamed, panic erupted. The once restrained crowd turned towards the sound of breaking glass. A woman stumbled through the broken window, her clothes torn and soaked. She fell to the ground, gasping for breath. "Help her!" someone cried. But all eyes were fixed on the newcomer. The woman looked wild, eyes wide, darting like a cornered animal. Leonard's heart skipped. He recognized her, the nurse from the adoption agency. The same agency that had taken David from Mariah! Mariah! The woman's voice cracked, high-pitched, desperate. "Get out! They're coming for you!" Silence shattered as the guests shifted, unsure. Whispers slid through the room like a creeping fog. What does she mean? Who's coming? Mariah's face paled, her eyes reflecting terror. What do you mean? Who's coming? Her voice trembled, echoing in the stunned space. The woman pushed herself up, panic evident in every quiver. "The people who took him, they know you're here. They can't let the truth out." Leonard's thoughts crashed together. The truth? What truth? His voice was calm, but inside, chaos swirled. Could there be more to their connection? More than a simple adoption gone wrong? And then it hit him. The agency. Its reputation had always been murky. Whispers of unethical practices, disappearances that vanished like smoke. Coincidences? He'd ignored them before, too consumed by his own life. "Stay back!" Leonard stepped toward the woman, hands up, trying to grasp control. But she moved closer, eyes pleading. "You have to listen. David is... He's not just your son. He's part of something bigger. Something dangerous." Something shifted in the air. A coldness that wrapped around them like chains. The guests clutched their drinks tighter, eyes darting, murmurs swirling like a tornado of disbelief. Then, out of the shadows, a chilling voice rang out. "Is that so? I was wondering how long it would take." A man stepped forward, tall and imposing, charisma dripping like oil. The room shifted uneasily, recognition dawning on some. "James," Leonard muttered, throat tightening. This was the man responsible for many of those whispers. The puppeteer behind the agency's opaque dealings. "Had to keep a close eye, Leonard. Your past was always a risk." James smiled, a dreadful grin spreading across his face. "And now, it seems, it's coming back to bite you." Heart pounding, Leonard felt the walls close in. What did James know? What had he orchestrated? The crowd's energy shifted, turning curious to hostile. They could smell blood, the prospect of scandal. "Everyone, please!" Leonard shouted, trying to regain control. "This is not what it seems." But the damage was done. The tension exploded. Gasps filled the room. Eyes widened. Suddenly, it didn't just matter that Mariah was David's mother. This was a web of deceit, stretching far beyond a single name. A twisted history that held the potential to collapse everything. Mariah! Leonard's eyes searched hers. How much did she know? The night shifted again. Darkness looming. The truth, once hidden, now writhed under crushed velvet and glinting chandeliers, ready to consume them all. "Run!" Mariah whispered, fear spilling from her, "before it's too late." And just like that, uncertainty crashed over Leonard like a tidal wave. What choices lay ahead? What alliances would break or form in the chaos? As the crowd began to scatter, all he could do was watch. The night was darker now, and the shadows whispered secrets that could ruin them all. As panic surged through the room, Mariah's words hung heavy in the charged air. Leonard's mind raced, grappling with the reality that was unraveling in front of him. "Run," she whispered urgently, but before he could process her command, another wave of shock crashed over him. From the back of the gala, an imposing figure emerged, cutting through the throngs of guests. It was Mariah's estranged sister, Jasmine, a presence Leonard had never expected to see. She wore a look of sheer desperation, her hair wildly tousled, cheeks flushed with fear. But it was the glint in her eye that set Leonard's heart racing. Something concealed lurked just beneath the surface. "Jasmine?" Mariah's voice trembled, disbelief and dread mixing like oil and water. "What are you doing here?" "I came for David," Jasmine shouted, her voice cracking. Urgency slicing through the chaos. "You don't understand. It's not just about him. There's so much more." "Just stop," Leonard interjected, panic rising as his grip tightened defensively. All he wanted was for the night to go back to normal, for secrets to remain buried. "This is insane." "No, it's real," Jasmine pressed on, stepping closer, eyes fixed on David, who clung to Mariah's side, confusion swirling in his innocent gaze. "He's in danger, all because of you." A hand echoed through the cacophony, slapping silence into the room. A guest, a wealthy woman draped in jewels, had stepped forward, her voice trembling with disbelief. "What do you mean, danger?" she cried out. The entire event teetering on the edge of chaos. Leonard felt the room close in, anxiety clawing at his throat. Everything was happening so fast. "What are you talking about? What do I have to do with this?" "Because, Leonard," Jasmine said, each word laced with venom, "you're not just his father. You're the reason this whole situation started. You know about the agency. You know what they've done." The room vibrated with whispers, but all Leonard could hear was the pounding of his heart. The air grew thick with suspicion and scorn. He felt everyone's eyes drilling into him, judging, accusing. David's innocent face was a beacon through the storm. "Daddy?" he asked, his voice small and scared. "Get away from him!" Mariah's protective instinct surged to life, but Jasmine remained resolute. "He's not safe. They're planning something. It's all linked back to us." Suddenly, without warning, a loud crash erupted at the entrance. The doors burst open, and armed figures stormed in. Their faces were shrouded, but their intentions were glaringly clear. Gasps flooded the room, fear rippling through the crowd like a rising tide. "Everyone stay calm," one of the men barked, brandishing a weapon. His voice dripped with authority, a menacing certainty that sent shivers down Leonard's spine. "Mariah, Jasmine, you need to go," Leonard shouted over the madness, his protective instinct overriding the chaos that threatened to consume them all. "Take David and run." But before they could react, the tension snapped like a frayed wire. The men reached for David. Time slowed. Leonard's heart dropping as he realized the weight of his choices. Who had he brought into this madness? "No!" Mariah screamed, lunging forward, desperation fueling her movements. "He's not going anywhere with you!" In that moment, a telling detail fell into place. Jasmine's expression shifted, a knowing darkness creeping into her eyes. "You're not just a father, Leonard. You're the key to everything." And just like that, the room shuddered, every head turning toward Leonard, realization dawning in an instant. Faces twisted with horror. A secret long hidden glimmered in the shadows, ready to fracture everything he thought was true. "Key?" Leonard's voice trembled with fear. "What are you talking about?" The air thickened, and Jasmine's revelation hung without explanation. Before Leonard could demand answers, everything erupted. A shot fired, echoing like thunder, scattering the guests in wild panic. The room spiraled into chaos, but Leonard's mind froze. Suddenly, nothing made sense. He stared down the barrel of danger, heart racing, and with it came the crushing weight of secrets that promised to change everything. What did she mean? What did he unknowingly hold in his hands? As bodies collided in the fray, the truth bore down heavy, leaving him gasping for answers. The night spun faster, and Leonard was caught in a whirlwind of his past, present, and the potential future that loomed over them all. Leonard's heart raced as he stared at Mariah, each second stretching out painfully. The whispers around him grew louder, laced with confusion and disbelief. This was not how the night was supposed to go. It was supposed to be his triumph, a celebration of power and success. But now, everything felt like it was teetering on the edge of an abyss. "What do you mean he's your son?" Leonard's voice came out in a strained whisper, his eyes flickering between Mariah and David. Each word felt heavier, like lead settling in the pit of his stomach. The corners of the room swirled, with gasps. People shifted their weight, unsure if they should stay or run. Mariah stepped forward, her gaze piercing. "You know the truth," she insisted, voice steady, even as the tremors of emotion threatened to break through. "He deserves to know who he is, who we are." A sudden hush swept over the crowd, like a wave, and just then, something crashed against the back wall. The sound jolted everyone, hearts racing anew. All eyes turned to see the large, ornate mirror that had hung proudly amongst gilded decorations shatter, sending shards of glass exploding into a million glinting diamonds. In the chaos, Leonard stumbled back, eyes wide. The panic seemed to magnify the moment, an unexpected catalyst that pulled everyone deeper into the unfolding drama. But then, a small figure darted through the curtain of light and darkness, navigating between the horrified guests. An older woman, her face lined with years of sorrow, dashed toward Mariah. "Mariah, no, you can't!" But her words faltered as she too realized the storm brewing at the center of the room. Leonard's thoughts spiraled. Who was this woman? Why was she lashing out? The very air vibrated with tension, and just as the woman reached Mariah, her eyes fixed on David. "You're so much like him, my boy, just like your father." A cold shiver ran down Leonard's spine. His hidden past threatened to claw to the surface. Father? What father? The questions whirled in his mind, but he lacked the power to voice them. Mariah's eyes sharpened as she glanced at the woman, her lips trembling but resolute. "You were supposed to stay away!" The woman took a deep breath, voice barely a whisper. "He's in danger, Mariah. They're looking for him. You need to—" The room became an echo chamber. Whispers colliding, hearts pounding, uncertainty thick in the air. Danger? Leonard's voice was shaky, but loud enough to cut through the fever of confusion. All eyes snapped back to him. "What are you talking about?" The older woman turned, her expression raw and urgent. "If they find out he's your son, Leonard Harrington, they won't stop until they make him suffer for what you did." Time froze, breaths caught in throats. The full impact of her words hung in the air, like the glass shards scattered across the floor. Leonard felt color drain from his face. Suffering? What had she just revealed? The truths he had fought so hard to bury now threatened to pull him under. His carefully constructed life was crumbling. Would David truly be in peril, tied to a legacy soaked with darkness? Leonard's mind raced, each thought more frantic than the last. He had to act. But how? He looked at Mariah, then at David, a child perched atop a precipice he hadn't seen. The bombshell had detonated, and in its wake, he realized, this wasn't merely a confrontation about motherhood. It was a revelation that could rewrite everything he believed in, every relationship he held dear. And amid the chaos, silence clawed at the edges. What would become of them now, as shadows of secrets emerged to consume their lives? The night held its breath as they faced a future darker than any of them could imagine. The night held its breath. A commotion broke through the silence. A hard crash echoed from the back of the room. Guests jumped, startled, heads turning as a figure stumbled into view. A man, rugged and wild-eyed, burst forth. His shirt was torn, his face smeared with dirt. Confusion swept the gala like a sudden storm. "Stop!" he shouted, voice raw with a mix of rage and desperation. "You don't know who you're dealing with." Eyes widened, whispers turned frantic. The chaotic noise of the gala faded as he focused on the stranger. "What do you want?" he managed, hands clenching. "Mariah!" the man shouted, locking eyes with her. "You need to hear me. They're coming for the boy." A palpable tension jumped in the air. Mariah's face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" she choked out, inching toward him, her heart pounding. A mother reaching for her child, feeling the weight of every second. "They've been watching you, watching David. They know what he is, and they won't stop." The man's eyes darted around, searching for unseen threats. Leonard's mind raced. "What's this about what he is? Speak clearly." "David is," the man faltered, panic rising. A deep breath. "David's father. He's not just anyone. He's tied to something bigger. Bigger than this gala, this money. Something they want to keep buried." Leonard's chest tightened. "What are you saying?" The truth hissed through the room like a snake. Both of them, Leonard and Mariah, felt their worlds tilt. He has a birthright, a legacy that they will kill for. A power. Sickening dread piled up in Leonard's stomach. "You're wrong. What could he possibly have that anyone would want?" The man stepped closer, his breath rapid and shallow, his blood. "Heritage. This isn't just about you, Leonard. You weren't just some wealthy businessman. You're part of their web. You can't run from it." No matter how rich you get, gasps erupted. The crowd held captive, murmured and exchanged confused glances, scratching the surface of a mystery that dug deep. Leonard staggered, the realization pummeling down like a hammer. He wanted to deny it, shove it aside, but everything was clicking together. His father's shady past, the whispers, the weight of secrets he had always ignored. Mariah's voice broke through the chaos, firm despite her fear. "What do you know about my son?" "He's connected to a world you know nothing about," the stranger replied. "They will stop at nothing to take him." Leonard felt the heat of his empire dim. The charity gala, the luxurious life, they all seemed like a fragile illusion now, hovering on the brink of collapse. The room swam, a blur of faces staring back at him, each one asking questions he couldn't answer. "Who are they?" he demanded, voice shaky but rising. "What do they want?" "He's a part of something ancient and powerful," the man replied, his voice low and intense. "You need to protect him. Time is running out." Leonard's pulse hammered in his ears. Protect him? The boy who had sent his life into chaos? The son he had wanted to deny? The boy everyone here was now staring at? The man's words echoed ominously. Before Leonard could process it all, the lights flickered unexpectedly, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps turned to screams. In the ensuing chaos, the man lurched forward, grabbing David fiercely, eyes blazing with urgency. "We have to go! Now!" And just like that, the night exploded into pandemonium. Leonard's heart sank. Everything was unraveling. The stakes had transformed overnight. Was David really the key? What lay ahead was unfathomable. Shadows shifting, secrets unraveling. The air thickened with danger, uncertainty crackling around them like electricity. And as Leonard rushed to save David, every fundamental truth was being wrenched apart. What would he learn next? Would anyone survive the storm brewing at their feet? The night held its breath, the air thick with anticipation as Leonard's heart raced. David's innocent admission still echoed, casting shadows over every carefully constructed moment of the gala. But then, just as the uncertainty morphed into a tense silence, a thunderous crash erupted from the back of the room. A chandelier trembled, sending a spray of glass crystals raining down like confetti. Heads whipped around. Gasps filled the air, vibrant with shock and confusion. "Mom!" David screamed, pointing, eyes wide. Mariah's gaze snapped away from Leonard, a flicker of panic igniting her features. She sprinted toward the source of the chaos, the crowd parting like waves before her, unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. Leonard, caught in his turmoil, felt the world around him dissolve. The room dimmed, colors faded. The moment turned surreal, as if he was watching from behind glass. Then, from the chaos emerged not just any figure, but a tall man framed by the swirling lights. His face, half hidden in darkness, looked familiar, yet distant. As he stepped closer, recognition gripped Leonard's heart like a vice. A chill shot down his spine. "Marcus," he whispered, the name escaping his lips like a prayer. It was his estranged brother, the black sheep of the family, the one who walked away from their gilded life years ago, leaving the Harrington name tainted with unspoken shame. No one in the room had seen him in years. Whispers of addiction and ruin hung over him like a fog. What was he doing here? The murmurs of the guests quickly turned into a cacophony of confusion. Is that him? A brother? What's he doing here? Is he trying to ruin Leonard? They cast glances, weighing judgment, suspicion rolling off them in waves. Marcus's haunted eyes met Leonard's. "I need to talk to you," he said, his voice cracking like the glass that had fallen moments before. Determination burned in his stare, but desperation wove through his words. "Not now," Leonard breathed, a sense of dread curling around his chest. He wanted to keep his world intact, to silence this unwanted chaos. But Marcus stepped closer, urgency in his every move. "It's about David. You don't understand." He needs to know. The world froze around Leonard at those words. "What are you talking about?" But before Marcus could reply, a piercing scream cut through the layers of tension, sending a shockwave across the crowd. Mariah collapsed, a hand pressed to her heart. "No, no," she gasped, her body shaking, eyes wide in horror. Panic erupted, guests scrambling. Leonard's instincts kicked in. He bolted to Mariah, but in that moment, everything he thought he knew shattered. "She's not just David's mother," Marcus yelled, his voice rising above the din. "She's David's biological aunt." She never lost him. He was taken from her. Both of us. Gasps, whispers, threads of disbelief tangled the air like smoke. Leonard's world tilted on its axis. Was it possible? The weight of everything he thought he had known started to slip away, unraveling in Marcus's explosive declaration. A cold sweat formed at his brow. Mariah's eyes met Leonard's, then flickered to Marcus, delving deep into the shadows of a past that wasn't so distant after all. What lay beneath? Secrets waiting to ignite a fire that could consume them all. Silence gripped the room again, thick with shock and realization. What fractured truth lurked behind David's origins? Who was he really? And what would that mean for the Harrington legacy? The night held its breath once more. The air thickened with chaos. Questions dancing in the silence. Uncertainty loomed like a storm. What now? The night held its breath. Tension hanging thick as Marcus's words sunk deeper. Leonard's mind spun, and every heartbeat felt like a countdown to chaos. "David?" Mariah whispered, her eyes wide. "What do you mean he's my son?" But the question hung in the air, nearly drowned out by the rising panic. The room, once a lavish celebration, felt more like a pressure cooker, ready to blow. The crowd was wide-eyed, ripples of confusion and disbelief echoing through the space. "Maria," Marcus continued, urgency in his voice. "It's not just about David. It's about all of us. They want him dead because of who he is." Leonard felt as if he'd been plunged into ice water, the chill hitting him hard. "What do you mean, dead?" His throat tightened, fear creeping in. Suddenly, another crash reverberated through the room. The window on the other side shattered, and something, a large object, flew in, hitting the floor with a deafening thud. Gasps erupted, and a thick cloud of dust filled the air. From the haze, a figure emerged, tall, ominous, clad in dark clothing. Leonard squinted, recognizing the fierce gaze and the scar running down one cheek. It was someone from his past, tied to memories he'd tried to forget. Ryan, an enforcer from connections he had long since severed. "What is he doing here?" Leonard's voice barely reached Mariah, who stood frozen, heart pounding. "Leonard," Marcus warned, eyes darting as Ryan stepped forward, a confident smirk on his tough face. "You should have never let him live." The truth spun faster, a whirlwind of fear and dread making Leonard's chest tight. "What?" But Ryan cut him off, raising a hand. "Let's clear the air, shall we? David wasn't just taken from Mariah. He was part of a deal. A dirty game you're too blind to see." Gasps filled the air, heightened breaths shivering through the crowd. Leonard felt the blood drain from his face. "What kind of deal?" Mariah's voice trembled, both fierce and frightened. Ryan leaned in, chilling proximity narrowing their world. "A trade for power, for loyalty. Your family made a pact that put David at risk. And now," his voice dropped, thick with tension, "it's time to pay the price." Shockwaves rippled through the room. Friends turned to enemies. Alliances shifting in real time as chaos unfurled. Eyes darted between Leonard and Mariah, mouths agape, the reality folding in on itself. "What are you saying?" The urgency clawed at Leonard's insides. Panic threatened to drown him. "David's life is a ticking bomb, connected to forces you've ignored for years," Ryan stated coldly. "They're coming, and you're on borrowed time." Suddenly, the lights flickered again, dimming further until the gala was draped in shadow. Heavy footsteps echoed from behind, making everyone turn in alarm. A cadre of ominous figures, men in dark suits, filed through the entrance. Hard-faced, their eyes scanning, calculating. "Get away from him!" Mariah yelled, instincts flaring, moving protectively in front of David. Leonard's heart thudded painfully in his chest. This wasn't supposed to be happening. "We need to leave!" he shouted, adrenaline rushing. "Not without him!" Mariah's determination shone through her fear. The tension snapped. Ryan laughed darkly. "You think you can just walk away? This is only the beginning." Before Leonard could react, the crowd lunged for the exits, pushing against each other. Chaos erupting in a frenzy of shouts and screams, eyes filled with terror. "No, stay calm," Leonard pleaded, but his voice was lost amidst the panic. In the confusion, a piercing sound cut through, the screeching of metal, promptly followed by an explosion that sent a shockwave reverberating through the hall. People screamed, scattering wildly, gasps punctuating the air. A frantic scramble transformed the glamorous charity donation into absolute chaos. As debris rained down, Leonard managed to spot Mariah, still clutching David, wide-eyed. Rooted to the spot, he rushed toward her, shoving through the fray of frightened bodies. "Stay with me," he called, pushing fear down, urgency driving him. But as he reached them, reality cracked wide open. A flash of recognition ignited. Those eyes were not just David's. They held shadows of something deeper, something painful. "Who is he?" Leonard's voice trembled as a sudden realization hit him. "Is he really mine?" A silence fell over them, the answer thick in the air, pregnant with unspoken truths. Unraveled threads dangling precariously as the chaos raged around them. Leonard's world was from a nightmare he never wanted to face. The stakes had never been higher, the darkness closing in like a vice. What would become of them all? The truth lay just beneath the surface, ready to consume them whole. The night held its breath. Leonard stared at Mariah, the weight of her eyes urging him to confront the truth. But the chaos around them made thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind. Panic hung thick in the air, tightly woven with fear. And right then, the tension snapped taut. A clamor erupted. An electric crackle thrummed through the crowd, amplifying the chaos until every heartbeat raced in sync. Then it happened. A sharp crack, at first distant, followed by a blinding flash. In an instant, the villa's pristine elegance shattered. The ground shook beneath them as noise crescendoed into a deafening roar. Smoke billowed into the room, engulfing everything in its path. Guests screamed, faces contorting in terror as they scrambled to escape. "Get down!" Leonard shouted, instinct taking over. He pulled Mariah close, shielding David from the chaos. But then, something caught his eye. A glint of silver amid the smoke, sharp and ominous. Suddenly, the figure emerged from the haze. A woman, barefaced and wild-eyed, charging toward them. "I'm so sorry," she screamed. "I had to tell you, David is in danger." Leonard's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, a wrenching sound twisted his gut. The woman collapsed at his feet, her blood staining the glossy marble below. Gasps of shock swelled through the room, eyes bulging in disbelief. "Help her!" Mariah cried, but panic gripped Leonard's heart like a vice. He couldn't look away from the woman, the look in her eyes, a haunting desperation. And then he saw it. In her hand, clutched tightly, was a small silver locket, glistening like a star fallen to earth. It proves," she gasped, struggling against the darkness closing in. Leonard's mind raced. "Proves what?" He sank down beside her, his knees hitting the floor. The smoke whirled around them like shadows come to life. "It proves David is," her voice faltered, eyes fluttering, "the last of the Harrington bloodline." The words tumbled from her lips like a dam breaking. Shock coursed through Leonard, a thunderclap in his chest. David, his son, was somehow tied to an ancient lineage. Mind reeled. They had to protect him. They couldn't. But then, with one final gasp, the woman's eyes glazed over. The locket slipped from her grasp, clattering against the floor and bursting open to reveal an old photograph inside. Leonard dared to glance, his heart racing. And there it was, a picture of a man with a striking resemblance to him, standing with a woman hiding behind him. The truth blasted his mind like a cannon. The woman looked just like Mariah, a revelation too monstrous to grasp. "Leonard!" Mariah screamed, yanking him back to the present. "What does this mean?" Before he could respond, Ryan roared to life, knocking into Leonard with savage force as SWAT-like figures surged into the room, all shrouded in tactical gear. The air throbbed with chaos as they aimed weapons at everyone. "No! Get away from him!" Mariah shouted, desperation sparking in her eyes. "Enough!" One of the officers stepped forward, his voice cutting through the turmoil. "We're here for the child!" Instinctively, Leonard shielded David behind him. "Ah, you can't take him!" He felt Mariah trembling beside him, the weight of fear pressing down like lead. "Stay back," the officer snarled. "This is bigger than you know." But in that moment, the damaged space seemed to shift. The other guests, in shocked disbelief, began to move, edging away from the unfolding nightmare, while wild whispers erupted. What had the woman been trying to tell them? The truth about David's heritage? The legacy that wove them all together in a tapestry of lies? Then Leonard remembered the locket. What secrets could it hold? Could it be the key to uncovering the truth that had just unraveled? "Listen," the officer shouted, breaking through the tension, his voice firm. "Your son, he's already chosen." In a rush, it all hit Leonard, crashing through him like a tidal wave. The weight of what was happening pressed down with unbearable force. The evening, once bathed in the glow of elegance, now felt like a theater of shadows. A world unraveling, teetering on the brink of despair. And as the night twisted into chaos, Leonard locked eyes with Mariah, dread pooling in his chest. Was David really something more dangerous? Or was he the innocent caught in the crossfire? The air crackled with unresolved truths, leaving them all trembling on the edge of the abyss, desperate for answers they might never get. Leonard's mind raced as the chaos became a living thing, swirling around him. The room was a battlefield. Screams melded with the heavy thud of footsteps, and panic pulsed through the guests like a heartbeat. He could see fear in Mariah's eyes, and it mirrored his own. David stood behind her, a small shadow caught in the chaos, innocence fighting against the darkness creeping in. "Listen to me," the officer shouted, struggling to maintain order. "We're not here to hurt anyone. We're here to protect the boy." But Leonard felt the weight of the man's words. Protect him? From what? The truth tugged at his mind. David hadn't just been taken. He was part of something colossal, something dark that threatened to swallow them all. "Get away! Don't touch him!" Mariah's voice was fierce, holding strong against the turmoil. She clutched David tight, her body a shield. Suddenly, the strangest calm settled over Leonard. A flicker of clarity broke through the chaos. Could they fight this together? Could they turn the tides of destiny? "Marcus!" Leonard shouted over the noise. "What do we do?" Marcus grabbed Leonard by the arm, his grip intense. "We expose them, Leonard. We have to show the world what they've done." But before Leonard could react, Ryan took a step forward, something dark swirling in his eyes. "And how do you think you'll do that, huh? You think they'll let you walk out of here with him?" Out of nowhere, an explosion rocked the room. The boiling tension erupted as emergency lights spilled crimson across panicked faces. The stench of smoke filled the air, thick and acrid. People pushed and shoved, frantically trying to escape. Leonard felt the room close around him. Time stretched, each second laced with dread. "David, come here," Leonard called, but Mariah held her son tighter. "No, not until we know it's safe." Then everything shifted. Through the chaos, the officer shouted again, "We have to evacuate, now!" In that crucial moment of decision, Leonard grasped Mariah's hand. "We leave together," he said, fierce determination flooding his voice. "No more running. We stand and fight." Their eyes locked, and he saw the flicker of hope ignite in her. Together, as a family. Then, like a movie, frozen in time just before action, they surged into the crowd, pushing through panic-stricken bodies. The three of them, the remnant of a new family, Move towards the exit. Stay close, Leonard yelled. They reached the door and burst into the fresh night air, the chaos still raging behind them. But as they stepped outside, breathing deeply, the true struggle had just begun. "What now?" Mariah whispered, glancing up at Leonard, eyes filled with uncertainty. "We take the fight to them. We find out who's been pulling the strings," he promised, heart pounding, "and we bring it all into the light." As they looked over the horizon, the city seemed vast and daunting. Shadows loomed in the distance, but hope glimmered just within reach. They had escaped, but the real battle lay ahead. "Can we really do this?" Ooh, David's small voice broke through, bringing both parents back. "Yes," Leonard and Mariah said in unison, their hearts synchronized, filled with newfound determination. They turned to face their future, a story waiting to unfold amid the glint of a new dawn. They had each other, and that was the beating heart of their new beginning. But the night still held its breath, secrets lurking in every shadow, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You have to subscribe now. Don't wait another second to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Your engagement means everything. Let's keep the story rolling.